Okay, in this clip I'm going to show you a little bit about some of the trigger packs you can get that you can use in either your, if you're building a parts kit, let's say a G3 parts kit, um, or you already have a HK clone like a Cetme. This is a standard H&K Navy lower. It's got that nomenclature because it was originally designed to be used by the German Navy in their G3 automatic weapons. Of course, you got three positions. You have safe, you have single fire, and fully automatic fire. And I'm going to show you briefly exactly how this operates. Now, first of all, you will not be able to get this. As you can see, you have two holes here. Now, on the fully automatic weapons like the G3s or the MP5s, other variants of the design, this section here has a pin. You simply put it in place, and then you have to put in a pin. But the receiver has a accommodation for that. Now, in the versions you get, like for example the Cetmes and the Century Arms G3s you can get, the lower part of the receiver has it almost looks like a cam welded to the back of the receiver plate. Well, that prevents you from being able to put one of these trigger packs in here without doing a cut and pin job. I'm going to show you real quick exactly what that looks like. Remove your selector switch, then you can push up on the trigger, remove your fully automatic trigger pack. Okay, now you can see here, this is what you have to do to be able to get this pack to fit. You're going to have to shave some of the polymer material from this area here, and you're going to have to also grind down on these metal plates here a little bit, not a lot, just a little. And you're going to have to open up the front area here. You're going to have to make an opening of at least that size to allow for that notch on the back of the receiver to enable this to snug up. And you'll know when it fits because it'll simply fit in there. Now, the next part, the trigger pack. This is the fully auto trigger pack. The big difference is between the semi-auto and the full auto is, first of all, this has the full auto sear in it, which sits in here. And it's set by a lever here. As the bolt goes, and I'll show you this in a minute, as the bolt and carrier group go forward and backwards, setting the hammer back and the trigger operation, I'll show you exactly what that is and how that basically works. But the bottom line is that if you modify this pack in any way, or actually you can't even use this trigger pack in one of the clones. It's against the law. You technically, even though you could modify it to make it work semi-automatic, if I remember from what I've seen on some of the clips, why would you want to go through that trouble when you can go to like Robert's RTG or one of these other sites and buy a semi-auto pack for about 70 bucks? If you monkey around with these, or you actually try to just installing this on your weapon, whether it works or not, you've converted your rifle into an illegal firearm. So remember the penalties of 10 to 20 years and however whatever god amount of money the government will choose to fine your ass for. So anyway, let's just take a look at how it's going to work here, because a lot of people have had questions about what trigger packs will and won't work. Now, yes, trigger packs are swappable, but entire trigger packs only. No parts from a Cetme trigger pack will fit inside the HK trigger packs, or vice versa. So anyway, let's get it back together here. That's all there is to assembly and disassembly. And one thing I don't like, if you're not careful, see if I can get this to happen again, like a lefty like me, first of all, that's in the way of my finger, so I've had to learn to operate on the very tip of the trigger, which is always a good habit to develop anyway. So I reach over my weapon to put it on safe. If I pull up a little too zealously, you see what happened? Your trigger pack just came apart. Not a good thing. So remember, it's better to learn to just use your thumb. Hold the weapon, push down, and then just push up with your thumb. That's one drawback to these packs I don't like. The later models, they fix that that have the little smaller selector switch, and it's ambidextrous because there is a small locking tab that holds the other pin in place, which prevents this sort of thing from happening. I guess I figure everyone's going to be right-handed, so you know, what the hell. But anyway, okay. Your weapon's in safe. You cock your weapon. Hammer comes back. Bolt and carrier group go forward. On a full auto trigger pack, this lever is too far back to make contact with the notch in the full auto bolt, which should be on the weapon. Most of those weapons come with a full auto bolt on there. They were not designed to be semi-automatic weapons. They were designed for military use. And as you can see, it sits too far back. You would have to cut out excessive material in this area to allow the trigger pack to sit forward far enough so that this will be able to engage the notch in the bolt. Now it's ready to fire. So you take it off safe to single fire. You're still holding the trigger. Weapon fires, bolt comes back. Bolt goes forward, engages this lever. The slot engages this lever here, but it's only fired once. You have to let off the trigger and squeeze it again. Full auto. Cock the weapon. Bolt and carrier group come back, go forward. Now, pull the trigger. I will not let off the trigger. Weapon fires. Bolt and carrier group comes back and goes back to battery, engaging the lever. Only this time when the bolt pushes down on the lever here, the weapon fires. I have not let off the trigger, and it just continues to happen until you either let off the trigger or you're out of ammunition. So, you know, as long as you remember and understand the mechanics of how this works, you won't get into any trouble. Now, for example, me, I purchased this Navy lower because I want the cosmetics of the actual polymer lower part. I don't care about the full auto trigger pack. I'm going to just drop in a semi-auto trigger pack in here, and it'll fit right in the weapon because the semi-auto trigger pack has the space required here on the very front to enable it to operate in semi-automatic mode, which is all you want. You have to make cuts and remove material from the front of this to get it to work, and you have to do it just right. It's not one of these, you know, let's guess by what you're going to do. If you don't know exactly what you're doing, you're going to ruin it. You're going to make it a piece of junk that you can't use for anything. Plus, you have to deal with the fact that it is a violation of federal law. So, you have been, a word to the wise is sufficient. Again, like I said, these will swap directly as far as once you make the clip and pinning adjustments, as they say, because now what all I need to do is get a pin and cut off the ends to simply epoxy them into location here, so when it's in the weapon it looks like the pin is in there. So this is a basic trigger pack 101, I guess you could say. In the next clip I'm going to get hopefully the semi-auto pack, and we'll show the actual differences and compare them side by side.